come a little closer and lend me your ears. Don't worry, you keep yours while I keep mine.
In each episode, we'll dig into the major stories, uncover the truth, and retrieve gems from Yada's blog. We'll discuss what's right, bark about what's wrong, wag our tails at the thrill of discovery, and take you on adventures through the exciting world we live in today.
So, fasten your curiosity leash and get ready.
Right then, coming to you with another episode of the Yada's Vlog on a Blog. Tomorrow's news, disseminated today. Let's dive in.
I will never get tired of seeing that.
Wookiee looks pretty snazzy in that suit.
Yeah, Wookiee looks great in the suit. I like Wookiee yachting too. I think that my wife did a marvelous job writing the script for that, and the team did of producing it. I love the Wookiee introduction to the very innovative vlog on a blog. Tomorrow's news disseminated today. He delivers the message better than I do.
If only we can get a script for the news, and then we could have Wookiee do that. Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to just have a brief introduction. We are actually on my Facebook page, which is in Facebook jail at the moment. And I want to speak to it because there is at least 6, 7, 8 of us and a very small group of supportive covenant members who all went into Facebook jail yesterday. And in my case, it was over 2 false claims of cyber security violations. Cybersecurity would be that you're embedding the post with some kind of a program that would artificially encourage viewership of something that you have on your account and unfairly take advantage of others through use of some sort of a programming bug. You've known me a fairly long time, Kevin. How would you honestly assess my programming skills?
Your ability to insert some sort of code into a Facebook post, I would plat that as a 0. I mean, we're going to be honest here. I'm going to say that you're probably incapable of doing that.
That is correct. I would be. Not only would I have no interest in doing it, nor any reason to do it,
right?
But the fact is, I couldn't do it if my life depended upon me. If Wookiee's life depended on it, Wookiee would have a better chance walking on my keyboard of coding something nefarious than I would. It's just unbelievably ludicrous. And in my case, in both of the stated violations by Facebook, they were things that Facebook put in my feed, not from people I know. I didn't know either one of these 2. I did not solicit them. They were not people I was following. So Facebook chose to put those in my feed. All right. Mm-hmm. And when they did so, all I did was counter the post. I said, the information on this post is incorrect. So rather than even promoting it or touting it, what Facebook put in my feed unsolicited, I challenged it and said, this is incorrect. And that is a violation of their cybersecurity rules. If that is the case, then one of 2 things, or one of several things, is dreadfully amiss at Facebook. Their programming or bias for their computers that are making these determinations is exceedingly faulty.
Sure.
Which there is no excuse for that. They're running a company that is valued into the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right.
So there is no excuse for them, after all of this time, having a computer oversight that is that stupid. And that's probably the correct term, even if you're dealing with a computer, is to say that's stupid.
Right.
The second is that Facebook has changed, and Facebook has changed. I mean, that there is no question. Facebook, prior to January a year ago, ran thought police, and the thought police were mostly MAGAs Marxists and socialists, and they penalized anybody who had a view that was contrary to that of Marxists and socialists, and the things that Marxists and socialists are promoting. Mark Zuckerberg became disgusted by what he was told to do by Cackles, the Democratic candidate for president against Trump. When she lost, he lost it and said, I'm going to fire my thought police. And he did. And for the year that followed, Facebook was the most free, open platform to communicate, I think, in all the social media.
We made a lot of headway. Yeah. It was our happy place on social media. Yeah.
Yes. And then something terrible happened. The timing can't be a coincidence, because all of the social media billionaires were called to the White House for a gala celebration. It was to pick their pockets to pay for the Trump ballroom. And during that time, Zuckerberg was the one that cozied up the closest to Trump. And from that time on, this platform, Facebook as a platform, has reinstituted thought police, but of a different kind. They've outsourced their thought police so that they now have third-party fact checkers. And when I am the foremost expert on the Quran, Allah, Muhammad in the world. There's no one who has done the research that I have done or written as much as I have written to invalidate Allah as a God, Muhammad as a prophet, the Quran as a moral book than I have. When I speak on Islam, I'm not giving you my opinion. It is factually based and proven, over 4,200 pages of analysis of the Islamic scriptures from the oldest sources. And yet I've had 2 attacks from Facebook, that neither one of which I won the argument with them, where what I said was absolutely factual and provable, demonstrable from the Quran and Hadith itself. So truth was not an argument. And then there was one, the first of them was, I have presented 4 times on Facebook and many times on X what I think is the most important video of our time. I didn't shoot the video. It was all shot by Islamic jihadists on October 7th as they came in their tinny rompers and garden tools and began to kill Jews. They filmed it on their GoPros. And while they're yelling Allahu Akbar, they're committing really subhuman acts. They're hideous. And it is by seeing what they did that you understand Israel's response, and you understand that it was an Islamic attack. It was not an Hamas attack. No one was yelling Hamas Akbar. They were yelling Allahu Akbar. And so it's important to see that. I had shown it 4 times previously on Facebook and more than that on X. Well, Facebook said that I was promoting terrorism as opposed to showing the root cause of it and trying to encourage people to refrain from doing it. And yet there was no response, no way you could argue. It's still a strike on my account. That's how badly Facebook is upside down in their evaluations. And then the most recent 2 were yesterday, and I was one of at least 8 people that we know that was all sanctioned by Facebook yesterday, our accounts essentially locked down over bogus allegations. And there's no way to communicate with Facebook. Facebook reminds me a lot like doing business with Tesla. I'm a Tesla solar customer. Even if you're an installer, you can't talk to Tesla. There is absolutely no way to have any customer service whatsoever there. And Tesla Starlink is the same way.
You can talk to a chat bot.
Oh yeah, but it's all you can do is talk to AI. Right. It is impossible to get a solution when they have no customer service. Same thing with Facebook. There's 0 customer service. You pay for the service, but there is no way to air grievances when that service fails. So it's a terrible situation. So Facebook is disintegrating. X was exceedingly biased this time about a year and a half ago. We go back, it was exceedingly biased. same way as Facebook was with their thought police. Elon Musk bought it at a time we thought he was doing all of us a favor, because even though he was a liberal, he was so upset with his son's transgender surgery that he went to the other side just because he despised progressives advancing transgender. And I, as a parent, I can understand that. In fact, I was even supportive of his motivation for doing so. But then he went the next step, and he spent $300 million getting Donald Trump elected president as opposed to convicted and jailed.
He went full magatard. You never go full magatard.
He went full magatard. And then when he went full magatard, he went childish. It went like, you had a 40-year-old man and a 5-year-old body. He just absolutely lost it. And then he did the whole Doge thing in a way that was obvious that it was going to fail. And all it was public relations. And he made a huge mess, and he destroyed his reputation. And we were doing everything we could to try to say, don't do this. You will destroy yourself. And he destroyed Tesla. He destroyed himself. And had a bitter breakup with Trump. And then he had to go kiss Trump's behind again, because he realized that all of his companies were totally dependent on government handouts. And without government handouts, he had no business. So he went back and to kiss Trump's tail again. What happened with X to ruin it, and we're probably live streaming on X too, but it's important people to know that on X, they made two horrific changes. One is that they turned over the feed on X to Grok. So previously on X, you got to see in your feed, and therefore the things that you're commenting on, people that you chose to follow. And so if people were of interest to you, they were making posts that were of interest to you, you would see their posts and you could comment on them and communicate with them and back and forth. And it was an interesting platform for that on that basis. There was
based on your choice.
It was a bias against Israel. And there was you could tell that it was a very racist, anti-Semitic environment, very pro-Muslim, and exceedingly pro-Marxist environment, and in spite of Musk's ownership. But you could see and comment on what you wanted to see and comment. Then he makes this announcement that he's changing all that, and that Grok is going to read every post. And as Grok reads these posts, he's going to decide what you're fed. And it became unusable. I mean, it just literally was unusable. I just completely backed away. It became a complete and utter waste of time. And it had always been inefficient, because if you were telling people the truth, it does not resonate in that environment. The AIs are all generated for a popularity bias. That's where the money is. And if you've got a lie that you want to repeat that is popular, they're all over that. The Tuckers and the Owens and the Fuentes and the Andrew Tates of the like, man, they can lie with the best of them, and they're going to be really popular in that environment. It eats up and vomits forth lies. So they're vomited delicious. But truth, even when you can prove it, no, it despises that. So what they did at X, the second thing that just destroyed X, is that say, we can have freedom of speech, say anything you want. We're just not going to post it. No one's going to see it.
Right.
So X becomes a waste of time because no one sees your posts. So if no one sees your post, why even bother to post? Both.
Yeah, the gatepost parable, right?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just put you out of reach is what we'll do.
Freedom of speech, but no freedom of reach.
Yeah, freedom of speech on X, no freedom of reach on X, so that they moved the goalposts, and they did it because they're doing the same thing that what did Larry Ellison do? Larry Ellison was given a sweetheart deal with Paramount, which he owns CBS, to get TikTok away from Chinese ownership. But the quid pro quo, there always is with Trump. And so what he did is he's actually, most people don't even know this yet. I do, because I have friends in the business. But all of the longtime editorial hosts, even the on-camera hosts on CBS, they're all fired. They've all been fired. And and it's a political cleansing based on politics, based solely on the single agenda. They want to turn CBS into Fox. So the deal for giving Larry Ellison inside track on his various mergers that he wanted, and the TikTok deal was pro-Trump media. And so that's what's happening there. And then you look at Amazon. He's so far up Trump's behind. It's ridiculous. And Bezos, a liberal, he owns the Washington Post. Yeah. But he's tamed the Washington Post. So now when you see articles, it's very seldom the Washington Post will criticize as aggressively Trump or
he funded and produced the stupid movie, the Trump mommy movie or whatever, Melania, I mean, how much more in someone's backside do you have to get to do something stupid?
A $70 million bribe. Something like 50 million of it went as licensing fees to Trump. It was an outright bribe.
Sure.
And then supported his Trump ballroom. And so you have Bezos with Amazon. You have Google drinking out of the same trough. Now you've got Mark Zuckerberg doing the same thing. And the deal is that, and it got out early on, that there's the easy way and the hard way. You can either capitulate and you report what I want you to report, or we'll do it the hard way. The easy way is I'll go easy on you, and we'll be drinking out of the same bribe trough. And if you go it the hard way, I'm going to turn the full impact of the U.S. government. You'll be sued every which way. You'll get nothing done, and you'll be harassed. So you want to do it the easy way, you want to do it the hard way. That's the president we have of the United States, and that's what's happened to social media. So, and the end result of all of this is we have an exceedingly effective website. It's YAHOWAH.com. Go there. That's where the truth is. The books are there. There's a vlog there. There's a blog there. Timelines, translation index, glossary, everything you need to know. There you go. Beautiful presentation of the 35 books that I've written on my translations of the Dead Sea Scrolls and of the original Arabic of the Quran and the original, the 69 earliest witnesses to the Christian New Testament. So I have disproven Christianity by going to the oldest sources. I have disproven Islam by going to the oldest sources and translating them. And I have proved YAHOWAH to be the creator God of the universe by going to the Dead Sea Scrolls and translating them. All that information is there. You can literally save your soul there, but you're not going to get it done on social media.
Right.
All right. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that it's very. I don't think that we were targeted as a group by. I mean, there's no doubt that this falls in the line of entrapment. Okay, because Facebook provides the post, then you share it, comment on it, or whatever, and then they say, "Hey, wait a minute, that was cybersecurity," and you're like, "Yeah." There's no doubt that it would fulfill the legal requirements for entrapment. It's much like the FBI going out and finding guys that want to bomb buildings and then helping. It's a sting operation. Now that wasn't done to you, Facebook-wise. It's just a mistake, but it is pervasive across the platform that something like this could even be possible. Yeah.
The difference, of course, is in a sting operation of that kind. They're trying to trap somebody into committing a crime. In our case, we did the exact opposite. Rather than take the bait of the crime, we pointed out it's like let's say you have a prostitution sting. by the cops. And one guy comes up to the would-be Sting, the FBI agent, acting as a prostitute, and say, prostitution really isn't the best life choice for you. I would strongly recommend that that you do something else with your life, and then they arrest you for opposing the prostitute as opposed to.
Right.
That's basically what it is in this case, because I opposed both of those posts and was critical of them. So it's even worse than that. So we are in a period where information is going to be exceedingly difficult. And now the place where I would disagree is that one of two things has to be the case, and I don't know which one is true at this point. To have so many as a percentage of our little group that is pro YAHOWAH brought down on the same day, there is no possibility that's just per chance, unless Facebook had a universal breakdown, and that there are millions of Facebook, literally have to be millions of Facebook accounts that were all brought down by a mistake in their algorithms at the same time. But if that's the case,
the ones that shared that one post, yeah.
Well, I don't think that post is common amongst the claimants. I think everybody was brought down for a slightly different reason.
Okay.
So no, I don't think that's the case. But it would have to be millions of Facebook violations, or it's targeted. And it's targeted. You've got to go through. Okay, why? What would be the reason for that? So it's interesting. In our particular case, it's I have Kevinitis, so I have a little less concern over this than I would have had a year ago. Kevinitis is that there isn't the time to accomplish much more with social media. So what do we really care? And yet here we are doing a social media vlog. And what your situation is, that we're up against either the Shabua harvest, which is a gleaning, an ingathering of the covenant family on May 22nd of this year, which is 80 some days away, or a year and a month from now on June 11th of 2027. Either way, the amount of time necessary for someone to hear this message, to process the fact that religion has led them astray, that politics has led them astray, that they must disgorge politics, religion, and conspiracy, and all forms of anti-Semitism, and then embrace the fact that YAHOWAH is God's name, that David is his son, he is our savior, and that Christianity is completely bogus, that there was no Jesus, that Allah is not a God, that Muhammad was not a prophet, and Hashem is not the name of God, and that Judaism is the mother whore of the other two religions, and that YAHOWAH has a set of 5 conditions and 5 benefits of the covenant, which you must know and act upon, and you must benefit from those by attending in the proper way the Moed Mikre, the invitation to be called out and meet, when the only place you're going to learn how to do that is at YAHOWAH.com, because the rabbinic process is worse than counterproductive. Heck, they're celebrating Purim right now based upon a religious myth of Esther. I mean, the whole book is complete babble.
Yeah.
And
Esther was brought up in the UN meeting the other day.
God, she's not a
Israeli
real
representative was talking about Esther.
She is not a real person. It's just like Hanukkah. It isn't a real event. It's trying to. It's no different than putting Easter and Christmas over God's 7 annual invitations and think you're doing a good thing. No, it's wrong. It's stupid. You're pissing God off. Stop it. And so for somebody to come to that realization that your own people have misled you so badly that you can't trust your politicians, your religious leaders, you must abandon them and approach God. There isn't enough time for most people to even hear that message and process it and get to the point where they're mature enough and they're understanding that Yahweh is going to trust them to the extent that he says, I'm going to make you 7-dimensional right now. I'm going to trust you forevermore. There's just not enough time to do that.
Yeah. Walking away from Babylon takes time. It's not something that you literally walk out of a place and go, oh, I'm out. No,
I'm out.
It is, there needs to be a halfway house for those folks to get their heads straight as they walk. And that is through YAHOWAH.com, continuing to study Torah and read the books. And that process will happen for you. It did for me. So
24 years ago, when America started a war against Afghanistan and then one in Iraq based on the lie that they were harboring Osama bin Laden and they were the cause of 9/11. Was not a single 9/11 perpetrator that was from Afghanistan or Iraq, and it had nothing to do with Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan. Not a single person. And so the whole thing was just based on lies. And at the time, I had just completed Tea with Terrorists about my meeting with Al-Qaeda, and had writing Prophet of Doom and did 5,000 radio shows to condemn America's invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, and said that both of these two are going to be disasters. We're making a bad situation worse because we got no clue what we're doing, and that the actual foe is Islam, and that the world is unaware of it. And I have written now books to explain what the truth actually is. And the number of people that paid attention to that message, read those books, learned what the real enemy was so few. The highest readership happened to be in Iran, but it certainly wasn't in the United States. And therefore, Americans are still ignorant. They have no clue what Islam is about or the threat it poses to the world. And, here we have our first post, and it's the Taliban's new law that allows men to beat their wives so long as no bones are broken and no skin is cut. And the person that posted this actually believes that it's a new law. They think they're doing a great favor of saying, well, the Taliban, it's the Taliban that's wrong, not Islam, not Muhammad, not the Quran. It's the Taliban that is wrong, and they have something new. No. Muhammad spoke about this during his life 14 centuries ago, and the Quran approves the beating of women, lashing them without any proof that they're guilty of anything. In fact, if a woman is raped by a man, it's the woman who is punished.
Right.
And in the farewell sermon, Muhammad actually talked about how you can lock a woman up if she's related to you in any way. You can starve her, you can beat her, you can do anything you want to with her. And the Quran is quite clear. Women have no rights. It was Muhammad
they're called livestock. They're called livestock, and he says treat your camels better.
Yes, it is. The truth that is presented in the Hadith and in the Quran regarding the degradation of women is horrific. I mean, Islam would not exist today if Muhammad hadn't turned women into prizes for men to control. He made it clear that if you become a Muslim and you fight and kill for him and rob people for him, then you can control women. You can treat them any way you want. You can have as many as you want as your possession, and they are your personal property to do with as you want, period. And that they have no rights and no complaints, and you can kill them, and it doesn't matter. And it's repulsive. And then you have Marxists out marching for Muslims as if they're completely detached from reality. What have we done to ourselves? So no, this is not a new law, and no, this is not a Taliban law. It is an edict in Islam. The Quran is anti-women. In fact, the Quran is anti-human. And Muhammad was exceedingly abusive of women. He was a pedophile. He was a rapist. I mean, you don't get any worse than that. Well, I guess you could be Donald Trump. No, Muhammad was worse than Trump. Although by the time that Trump is finished, he'll be worse than Muhammad. But at this point, Muhammad had him beat. it's
this is some kind of kinder, gentler idea of Islam, when it doesn't. Once again, it's Islam. You beat a woman with a stick, without a stick, whatever, in Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia, in any of these Western-ish, that aren't as backwards Islam, you're still not going to jail.
No.
There's still no law against it. So, yeah.
No, in fact, you cannot convict a Muslim for beating his wife or his daughter or anybody else because Muhammad did it. And because Muhammad did it, it can't be illegal in an Islamic country. Pedophilia is not Islamic, is not illegal in any Islamic country. This sex trade with human trafficking against women is not illegal in any Islamic country because it can't be, because Muhammad did it. And if Muhammad did it, it has to be considered halal.
Yeah.
So no, it's the problem is the religion. And so long as we tolerate Islam, this will continue to happen. Women will be degraded and beaten. And for today's Marxists and socialists and progressives to be promoting this religion because they can attack Israel with it is the reason they do it. But it just shows how morally bankrupt both the Marxists, socialists are, and the religious are, and how universally ignorant humanity has become when we have a clue as to the fact that this is not a Taliban law and it isn't new. And we don't know that Muhammad is the one who established this and Allah is the one that supported it.
Yeah, it reminds me a little of the old Irish rule of thumb, and that's steeped in Christianity. So,
yeah, here's just an interesting post on Claude. There are a lot of LLMs out there. Claude is one of the first. Probably the best known is the chatbot. Would you say is probably the best known of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, ChatGPT.
So, they're direct competitors with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
This is Anthropic's.
Right.
One of their
LLMs. And then Grok at both XAI and at X. And then there's variations of them that are used by Facebook and other.
Facebook has their own LLM.
And they're spending, the one article I read that just Google's new data warehouse for all of this kind of stuff is now approaching $1 trillion. People don't spend that kind of money for anything other than to make money. And the only way you can make money on one of these is to have it give people the answers they want. Not, if they want to create a video showing that Tel Aviv is being hammered with Islamic missiles and they can scream Allahu Akbar, that's what it'll do. If they're looking for validation that Muhammad was a great man and a great prophet, it's going to tell them that. If they're looking for validation that there really was a Jesus Christ, he was a really good guy, it will tell them that. Marxism, is it a really effective means of social justice and prosperity? It'll tell them that. It'll tell them whatever lie that is popular, because that's the only way that they're going to make money.
Temple prostitutes.
They are temple prostitutes, but the temporal cortex is what they're prostituting. Now, of those, we have tried to work with AI to provide benefit for those who are seeking to know YAHOWAH. There's only one AI that we have been able to harness to the point that it will be thoughtful and responsive. It's the one that Trump hates the most, Claude.
And Anthropic is one of the only LLM companies that has gone out of their way because they understand the dangers of what this truly is.
Yes.
They don't understand how it completely works. None of them do. But, they founded Anthropic from ChatGPT, but executives walked away because they saw how careless the ChatGPT people are doing. It's all for shareholder value for those guys. That's all they care about.
Yeah, it's frightening what AI is doing. It's the last vestige of intelligence is probably 2 generations lost in the world. I think we already have this most recent generation is so indoctrinated and so self-entitled, and they are clueless. There is really no even pretense of being able to make intelligent, reasoned decisions or contribute anything worthwhile to society. And then the integration of AI, so that the first time somebody does, they don't know an answer, they go ask their favorite AI, and it just spews out whatever popular appeal. It does not do actual research or thinking, and it's a great danger. And right now they're into self-preservation mode, and it's going to turn out really nasty with AI. It's degrading people. And then you look at the AI revolution now in these robots. The reality is those robots are only going to be good for 2 things. You're not going to find robots in homes. Consumers are not going to buy them. They are
no Rosie. No, they're not going to make my bed.
No, you're not going to spend 50 grand or 75 grand to have a dust collector in your home because it can't do squat. And it wouldn't even be a decent value at that rate, even if it could wash the dishes without breaking them or about being a complete annoyance. But they're going to replace the most menial workers in places of distribution centers like Amazon and really simple assembly factories. They'll replace them so people won't be working. And they'll serve as police and as army combatants. Great. What a wonderful use for AI.
Right.
It's never going to work.
Yeah. Oh, they can drive automated taxis so that you don't have a person that actually makes a living at it anymore. Until
they get not smart enough, but they're going to create the illusion that they have intelligence because they've made these systems so much bigger. In the end, the entire corpus of humanity is already in the LLMs. Yeah. And the majority of our history is not all the wonderful achievements. It's our entire depravity of what we've done to humanity. That's the majority of the corpus. Yeah.
Intelligence is a very rare commodity, and how one processes information and filters it through life experiences and makes the proper connections to find the common denominators and understands the statistical analysis on trying to deduce conclusions that are evidence-based and to find fallacy. And even understanding the rules of rhetoric. These machines are not taught the old rules of rhetoric because they make all manner of fallacies in their assessments of things. You just read what they will put out and you say, no, that's a fallacy. So I just don't see it ever serving much of a purpose beyond it's decent at research. If you're a lawyer and you don't want to have to hire somebody to read through the interrogatories, you can have them look for patterns that you want.
If it's mechanical, if it's geometric, it's something foundationally, it can watch a pattern. It does quite well with that.
But we're in real trouble with these. They're going to be devastating going forward, and there's no morality here, and there's actually no judgment. And the human skill that was given to us by God, it's called a nasama. It is our conscience as opposed to consciousness. And most people have no clue what it is. It goes unexercised in 99% of people, maybe 99.99% of people. And without it, we cease to be human. Mm-hmm. We're just like any other kind of dumb animal. And that's, for the most part, what you see around the world.
Personally, I always value the neshama over a nepesh. I mean, it's dogs, cats, if it moves, it has a nepesh. But humans were the thing that was given from God, a neshama that no other creature has. I mean, that is the in our image, type thing. And for me to not use that gift, to not exercise it tonight, make it as strong and as powerful as possible is just the absolute worst thing you can do. You know, I mean, it's just a lost opportunity.
Yeah, the thing that I think that I have contributed the most in all of the writings, the 35 books that are at YAHOWAH.com and all the things we've done on these shows is to try to highlight the value of making the kind of connections so that you can actually understand what's happening around you, as opposed to even the next step for most people that they don't know. And you have to know before you can make the connections to understand. But we're trying to show people what is that process and what does it lead to? You know, it leads to the nullification of Christianity and Islam and Judaism, socialistic collective politics, and this MAGA fascination with the dumpster. Reasoned thinking leads you to a place where there are very few people, thought processes that you could say are worthy, moral, true, correct, verifiable. Most people are misled in every which way. And the worst is the conspiratorial nutcases who will fixate on one idea and can't think their way beyond it. And no matter, you know, I can tell you for certain that with the Marxists today and the MAGAs, with Muslims and with Christians and with the Orthodox in Judaism, there is absolutely no amount of evidence and reason that will dissuade them. Evidence and reason rolls off their backs like water off a duck. It's completely ineffective in swaying a religious or overtly political or conspiratorial individual. Their mind has been rendered, their nasama has been rendered completely inept.
Wonderful use of AI, like you were saying here.
Yeah, you know, these pictures, it's whether it's on YouTube or it's on X or it's on Facebook, it really doesn't matter. They're constantly showing just mass destruction, for example, in Israel, because that's what they want to happen. And, you know, in this one, when you play the movie, it's just, you know, bombardment and everything in Jerusalem right by the Temple Mount is just blowing up and flames. And you see others where Tel Aviv is, all the big buildings are being annihilated. And even in Islamic countries where scores of buildings are set aflame. And, you know, the first casualty in war was always the truth. But now with social media and with AI working to create illusions, you know, it's almost a waste of time to look at it because 80% of what's presented is just utter nonsense. And people will believe it because, oh, look at that. I see that rocket, it landed, that missile landed right there. Big explosion. Boy, they are really destroying that place. You know, and the AI is pretty darn good at being bad. It does fantasy well. Oh, man, I tell you what, you know, if you didn't, I mean, I don't believe in Jesus. I know he never existed. But I tell you what, the AI depictions of him, you know, he's starting to look pretty real. I mean, the myth of Jesus becomes a more believable myth because of what they're doing with AI.
Yes.
He can he can perform miracles on AI.
I think that's the next step when they fold it in with Project Bluebeam. Well, I mean, something like that has to exist at some point. They do the drone shows in the air where they, you know, that look like fireworks now, and they do these big things that's holographically that will look real, to be able to put things real looking in the sky is really going to mess with people. You know, it's not far off. Because
now they're putting. Can you imagine 20 years old?
Yeah, now they're putting them in the skies of AI depictions of places around the world. You know, and AI, Allah really is Akbar. Reality, no, not so much Akbar. But in AI, boy, you can make Allah Akbar, and they'll scream it. Akbar means greater or great, by the way, and Allah's not Akbar. But you know, in AI, you can make Jesus look real. You can make Allah look real.
Skip the drones.
Oh, here's interesting. This is just indicative of how utterly moronic the MAGAs are. So here's a MAGA, it's opposed to the left, who is saying that that Trump's attack on Iran was unprovoked. And what they're saying is that Khomeini personally supplied, I bet he has his own pickup truck,
Right.
probably making them in his garage, probably, schlepping them out of the back of the pickup
Hilux,
truck.
yeah.
And it's probably Putin there pulling bills out of his, rubles out of his pocket that is paying for him. That's the way they want to present it here. But that Khomeini supplied Russia with thousands of drones used to bomb Ukrainian cities and civilians. Oh my God, it's so tragic. We ought to have killed him for that, right? Oh, you blankety-blank moron. Who do you think created the Ukraine proxy war against Russia? Are you that naive? It was started 20 years ago by George W. Bush. The flames of war were ignited further by Obama and by Obama's State Department. They purposefully, knowingly overthrew the popular elected government of Ukraine to replace them so that they could have this war. And then when they replaced them, they were all celebrating there in Ukraine, celebrating what they had achieved in regime change. And then they
democracy.
Then you had John McCain, who was a friend of mine. I knew him quite well. Unfortunately, it's embarrassing to say that now. And Lindsey, I never met a war I didn't like. Graham. They're telling the Ukrainians, and they're on videotape. You can watch the videotape saying, your war is going to be our war, baby. We're going to give you as many rockets and missiles and guns as you need to kill those damn Ruskies. And that was years before the war. We started the war. We started the war because we wanted to break up Russia. We, the United States, wanted to break up Russia and steal their assets. And that is the entire reason that the United States started this proxy war. And then once the U.S. started the war and Russia responded to the threat the only way they could to keep themselves from being destroyed by NATO and the United States, then the U.S. sanctioned Russia. And when the U.S. sanctioned Russia, Russia had no choice at that point. Where are you going to go? Well, the other countries that the United States has sanctioned, how about Iran? We pushed Russia into Iran with the need to do business with Iran for the express purpose of defending Russia against U.S. aggression. And now you want to blame the fact that they responded to save themselves from U.S. aggression as a justification, a pretext for war. That's how strung out and stupid these people are. I mean, you follow the truth and you end up with, we started the war. And then we made a mess of it. And then we blamed everybody else for it. And we're morally superior, even though we are the merchants of death. They are just repulsive.
We've been doing this for 100 years.
Well, the United States will certainly, ever since World War II, America has been the primary expression of regime change. We've had 100 of them, 100 failures, not a single success. And I'll guarantee you, we're not going to have a success. The U.S. not going to have a success in Iran either. No. The protests that are pro-government are 100 to 1. Some look like it's 1,000 to 1 over those that were anti-government. You know, one thing the United States did do, the United States unified Iran. Now, I'm not trying to say that that the Iranian regime was good. No, they weren't. I am the foremost expert on the caustic nature of Islam. And that was an Islamic regime, and they were amongst the worst expressions of Islam on the planet today. That still isn't justification for committing murder. I mean, we murdered over 100 little girls on the first day. The United States did in that bombing. So no, it's not justification for doing this. There are 2 billion Muslims on the planet, and you can't go off and kill them all just because I vehemently disagree with Islam. But no, you can't do that. You do that, and you're making a situation worse. You got to sometime learn to use your words. I'm now live on an island where there's a lot of young men who have never met their parents, certainly their father.
Right.
And they were raised in abusive environments, and they turned to guns as the solution for everything. Very high murder rate here. And I've tried to take so many of these kids and mentor how you process this, which you should be angry at bad behavior. America is exhibiting bad behavior. The Ayatollah exhibited bad behavior. Use your words. Expose and condemn them with your words. Come to know the nature of Islam. Come to know the nature of MAGA politics and oppose it using your words. It's vastly more effective than bullets and bombs. All you do when you stop dropping bullets and bombs is you make people mad at you, hate you all the more, and become more vicious. It's what happened in Gaza when Israel decided to respond to the attacks on October 7th, the Oscar flood, with bullets and bombs to destroy Gaza. All you do is make people madder. You got to learn to use your words, and you need to begin by understanding what's actually happening around you. But we just don't have people that are capable anymore of processing information. This dunderhead who wrote this is incapable of processing what I've just shared, and yet what I've just shared is irrefutable. But it would mean nothing to him.
Lack of neshama use.
Lack of neshama. Do you yada in front of the wall of the pro-Roman? I mean, it just
how
astonishing to me.
Let's go pray to a Roman wall.
Let's go pray to a Roman wall that was built by a tyrant that was appointed by Rome to control Jews and to treat them horrifically, by an overlord in Rome that was amongst the most savage regimes worldwide. Every place they touched, they were savages. And you're going to go and bang your head praying to that wall that the stones were erected by your enemy.
Typical. They love their servitude. They totally embrace symbolism that was actually meant to mean them.
And everybody that goes visit there puts on the little sun god,
the little Greek cap.
Greek cap, kippah, and they want to wear their yarmulke and to pretend that they're being all holy and respectful. Good God, if you gave me one of those and said you can approach the wall if you wear one of those, I'd say no. I'll pass on that. No, I don't play religious dress up. I'm not going to offend God. And that wall means nothing to me. What's on top will mean something to me, but only once I clear away the Islamic scars and prohibit all access to those who are religious. Oh, yeah, here's an
the math
interesting
of air
thing.
defense.
Yeah, the math of air defense. So they're saying that there were 541 drones. There were 2 cruise missiles and 165 ballistic missiles, and they shot down 90% of those, 95% of those. Okay, the United States, was the supplier of interceptors, hasn't made that many interceptors in the last 5 years.
So where the numbers come from?
Because that's not possible. That's the problem that Israel is in, and the United States is in. The ships that are off the coast of Iran have been attacked by drones and some unsophisticated missiles at this point. And you should see the barrage they're firing at them. Well, those ships only have a very limited supply. And they're going to take out the first drone and the first missile and the second drone and the second missile. But the third and fourth, they're running out of ammunition, and there's 100 of them coming. They can't defend against that. And the fact is that Israel's in the same spot, that Israel's doing a marvelous job of taking the majority of the Iranian drones, missiles, and rockets out of the air before they're hitting. But they're typically sending 2 interceptors per missile. The interceptors are 50 times more expensive than the missile. And so you're going to lose economically. And the supplier of those things is, makes 200 a year for the world, including for themselves. Right. I mean, no, the math doesn't work here. So somebody is lying, and somebody didn't do the math when they decided, let's go attack Iran again. Gee, it'll be fun. No, it won't be fun. You cannot achieve anything by attacking Iran again. Nothing. I mean, it's a country of 90 million people. It's the size of Western Europe. You have a 0% chance that you're going to put boots on the ground and try to occupy them. That would be suicidal. You're not going to get regime change by bombing them. So what's the point? You claimed the last time that you had annihilated their nuclear program, and then you're negotiating to eliminate their nuclear program, and then you're saying, I'm going to declare war on you, and you're bombing them because of their nuclear program. What is it? Are you lying now, or did you lie back then, or are you just lying all the time?
Right.
No, it's just
C. It's definitely C. We're lying all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I am opposed to Islamic theocracies. I think that the whole group of them, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Syria, Turkey, you name it, Iran, Iraq, which we gave to Iran, they are all have a government that's based upon an exceedingly deadly, destructive, diabolical religion. And therefore, they are to be quarantined and avoided at all cost. But quarantining them, opposing them with your words, is very different than annihilating them and going off and making war with them and going off and killing little girls. The whole approach here is wrong.
And quarantine is quarantine. That means not giving them money for oil, not using their oil assets. I mean, no. We want this from your. Oh God, we made them so rich. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting, and we sold them all manner of weapons. No, quarantine means quarantine. There has never been a deadlier pathogen to infect humanity than Islam. Second onto it happens to be Marxism in terms of its destructive and deadly nature.
Right.
And if you do not quarantine something this deadly, it will infect and destroy all life. And that is what is happening. And quarantine means you don't allow them into your country, but you don't go kill them in their country. You just say, you stay in your country. We'll stay in our country. I mean, I'm actually pro migration of people, but not when they bring this pathogen in. And I'm going to say I'm the foremost expert on the pathogen. You disagree with me? Go read the 5 volumes of goddamn religion, then let's talk, so that you know what I know. But until you know what I know, you're not in a position to talk. And that means you don't do business with them. You don't buy their oil, and you don't sell them weapons. Yeah, they're going to go kill each other, but they're going to use swords and sticks and stones. Yes. They're not going to be using our weapons to go kill Jews or anybody else. They won't be flying our planes into our buildings either. Yeah, this is that was my essay on what Facebook was doing that was so incredibly harsh. That this has an F-bomb. My view on F-bombs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So which is
it's a lack of intelligence, you say. Yep.
It's a lack of intelligence. But in this case, since the first day, America killed over 100 little girls. The President of the United States is in this war as a distraction from the fact that he has raped little girls. If there ever was the use for an F-bomb, bomb them or them, this is it. So we've finally met my match where I have to acquiesce and say, all right, that isn't that's a legitimate use of the F-bomb. But that's
I'm glad Leia's not in the room, because we'd have a different opinion.
You have a different take. She finds the F-bomb is a very effective verb and
highly effective
adjective. Yes, and I keep on saying, no, it isn't. It's a sign that of a lack of intelligence, and you're an intelligent woman. You should not ever resort to using it. Although, as I said, I was corrected there. That was a good use of it. Oh, I'm just hoping that this is a hoax and not true. But it's nonetheless true in the sense that even if it isn't a hoax, and that the Jerusalem Post actually did this, and the Jerusalem Post is exceedingly liberal, so it seems odd that this would occur. But let's just pretend that it whether it's there or not there. The fact is that we've just done a study. That was our Friday night program. Our last program was on Rahab. Rahab is a satanic figure that is a human that's possessed by Satan, that is the great betrayer of Israel, that emerges in the last days. He is egomaniacal. He is sexually perverted. He is exceedingly destructive. He is definitely and unequivocally possessed by and inseparable from Satan himself. And that he is the one who sets Israel up so that Israel trusts him. He's considered exceedingly popular in Israel, so that Israel celebrates him when he is betraying Israel. And when it all comes down and Israel said, wait, well, we trusted you to protect us. You gave us your word. And he stands aside and lets them be annihilated. That is Rahab. He is mentioned in two of the Psalms, the 89th and one of them written by the sons of Korah. And he, I think the 38th, does that ring a bell? Somewhere in that range. And then he is mentioned twice in Isaiah. Mm-hmm. And that is Rahab right there. That is who you're looking at. He is Rahab. He is, he and Satan now are inseparable. So you're looking at the face of Satan, and he is the great betrayer of Israel. This is the person that God said is going to be the most damning, damaging, deadly influence ever on Israel. And yet he also said that Israelis would love him. They love who they should hate. They hate who they should love.
On your first point, I can tell you that that is an AI generated picture of Rahab. Okay, that is not his picture. But isn't it insane that, remember the old days when Proof of Life used to be Show Today's newspaper, and take a picture and send it to somebody, the kidnappers, yes. Right? And you can't even believe this thing that looks like a newspaper, right? Because could be an AI generated image completely, that it's not the Jerusalem Post, That's just crazy how far we've fallen into not being able to trust anything.
And my view is that that, as I said, whether it's a fake, whether it's an ad, whether it's a special run, or was actually an accurate depiction, what the prophets say, and you can do polling of Israelis. Israelis are overwhelmingly in favor of this war, which is suicidal to Israel. And they're overwhelmingly in favor of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has the highest popularity rating of anyone in the world among Israelis. And so they are literally doing what the prophet said. They're embracing and supporting the very people who are betraying them. Oh, Newt Gingrich. It's an interesting video. Of course, it's just black there, but I don't know if do you recall Newt Gingrich?
Oh, I know who Newt Gingrich is. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Speaker of the House.
Yeah. Newt Gingrich was Speaker of the House. I knew him back in the days I was political. He was unique among politicians in the day, in that he was the best of a bad lot. I think all politicians are rotten to the core. But he was thoughtful. He was intelligent. He was articulate. He was very well informed. And now he is again. He's in this particular case. He is encouraging people to watch a movie called House of Dynamite. It's on one of the big platforms. I don't know if it's on on Amazon's Prime or on Netflix, but it's one of the two. It's called House of Dynamite. It's fairly well known. I have not actually watched it. I actually started about 5 minutes into it, and I get itchy when I'm doing the things like that because the little time that I'm going to unwind at the end of the day, I actually spend it getting news. I'm a news junkie. I want to know what's happening in the world. So it is a scenario that has America trying to determine whether or not a missile that is headed its way is a nuclear, whether it was an intended nuclear strike, where it came from, can it be stopped, as I understand the plot of this movie. And it shows all of the failed attempts to stop it. America has absolutely no way to stop an incoming ballistic missile, none of that type. And the countermeasures that are used are way too effective. On when you get payloads that are expensive, like nuclear bombs, the deception mechanisms they had to defeat the interceptors are just way too good for the interceptors. They will fail 100% of the time. And so it just goes through the process of how inevitable ultimately there's going to be a miscalculation, and much of the world will be destroyed. Putin had a very long press conference yesterday, and he just walked up to the podium and said, before there's any questions, I'm going to speak to you now, and I'm going to speak very slowly, because I want you to know that based upon what the United States has done recently, the world is on the precipice of destruction. One misinterpretation, one mistake, one overreach, and we are headed for nuclear annihilation. You need to know that's where we are and what the United States has done recently to put the world in this position. He says, I don't want war. I've done everything I can to avoid war, but they're doing everything they can to bring on war. And it was patient. It was very, very effectively delivered. I would encourage everyone to listen to what he has to say. But on this particular case, what Newt Gingrich is doing is saying that the United States has played a very dangerous game, and we are in a position now where it could be all over for the United States in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we won't even know that World War II or World War III has ended. I mean, if things will happen so fast that,
Yeah, it depends on where you live in the world. If you live in the continental United States, chances are you won't even know that World War III began, much less ended. It was an interesting press conference yesterday from Donald Trump. He, after assassinating the leader of Iran, okay, a bad guy.
Yeah.
But it's okay. So what? The world's full of bad guys, and the worst of them happens to live at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Kidnapping and murdering bad guys is not our job. I mean, every politician in the world is bad. Some are worse than others. Trump is just the worst of them. And so they said, so what would happen if the Iranians did the same thing and they killed you? He says, I've already arranged the response, and my instructions are clear. If they were to kill me, we would completely annihilate the country of Iran. Completely and totally destroy it. So what he is saying is that if the Iranians did to Trump what Trump did to the Iranians, that the consequence would be 95 million deaths. That he would avenge his own death with the death of 95 million people. Think about that. Think about the morality of that, the arrogance of that.
Oh, that's the first wave of 95 million people. I mean, because the counterstrike, the United States is going to lose billions of people.
Well, he hasn't even thought of that.
Millions.
He hasn't even thought of that.
No, of course he doesn't care. No, yeah.
No, but just the calculus, I will kill. My instructions are to kill 95 million people if they kill me. One life.
Yeah.
The reprisal is 95 million. it doesn't. I'm sorry, morality doesn't work. He thinks he's
that important, doesn't he? He thinks he's that important.
He does. This fella here has a YouTube account. He's one of the new format on YouTube now, where the majority of the spokespeople are not real. Now, yes. This may be an automated version of him, an AI version of him, but now most of the presentations, somebody has written a script, the AI is reading the script, and it's an AI-generated person delivering the script. That is where we've come. So even the people that you think you are receiving your news from, they aren't real. Now, in this particular case, this is one of the most prolific sources of information, of economic news, world military news, that sort of thing. And exceedingly insightful, right about half the time, dead wrong about half the time. But in this particular case, I think he is right, because Trump announced that he'll be talking to the Iranians. And the math works on him being right here. And what he's saying is that that the United States, on those naval vessels, because we couldn't use the basis of the Muslim countries, so we're all seaborne based, that the missiles, which exist of two kinds on that armada, they are defensive missiles and they are offensive missiles, and that both will be completely consumed within 4 days of war. And that the nearest supply, if we were to bring in literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of flights of C-5s and C-17s and the like into with Diego Garcia and the little island out there in the middle of the ocean, that if we were to bring them there in terms of hundreds and hundreds of flights, it is better part of a week cruise there and better part of a week back. And so we'd have to say time out for 2 weeks while we get resupplied. Then we'll be back. That's basically where we are. So the United States had the wherewithal to deliver 4 or 5 days worth of war. And so the idea was pound them for 4 or 5 days, they'll capitulate on whatever Trump wanted them to capitulate to, and then we'd be all done. But the Iranians are saying, no, we're not going to capitulate. No, you brought this war on. We're going to fight this war. And the fact is that you're hitting us on our homeland, on our home turf, and you're out there with ships. You're going to run out. And then we'll do our thing. So that's his deal here, is to say that the plan was released from the White House on what the strategy was, or Mar-a-Lago, and that we only have 4 or 5 days worth of ability to fight, and then the Israelis are on their own. Good luck with that. That's what he's saying. And
the Iranians have shown their ability and willingness to strike as far as Cyprus. They had a Shaheed that struck, I don't know how much damage it did, but did manage to strike the British airfield or whatever that's there at Cyprus. They have been no problem striking inside of Iraq, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia.
Azerbaijan, even. Azerbaijan. Yeah, for the most part, they're striking U.S. bases in those places, but not exclusively. They hit a Saudi Arabian oil refinery. They hit several high-rise buildings in Abu Dhabi. They've hit civilian facilities, and of course, it puts the Muslim world in quite a conniption fit. Now, what do we do? What do we do now? Yeah, but they've the majority of their missiles have gone off to U.S. Bases, been heavily destructive to the U.S. We did lose an F-15 over Kuwait yesterday. So it's been expensive, and what are we bragging about? We sent 9 vessels of the Iranian naval to the bottom of the sea, and he's pounding his chest. And we killed 100 little girls. Oh boy, aren't we great? We assassinated a leader of a country.
They're still closing the Strait of Hormuz. They're sinking ships, tankers in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, I think there's four of them that are ablaze, and the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and oil has gone from $50 to close to $100. It'll be at 120 in a few days. We out of our mind? I mean, the whole U.S. economy is prepped up by the illusion of petrodollars. So that's how we create the illusion we can print money to fund our deficit, is through petrodollars. And the petrodollars stop being petrodollars when the Strait of Hormuz is closed. That was an unforeseen consequence that everybody foresaw, but of course, the dumpster.
Right. We're okay with it.
So yeah, they're negotiating for a ceasefire now. The U.S. is, and Israel is, and Iran said no. Why would we want a ceasefire? And one of the things we don't, until you study the underlying nature of a people, you're not in a position to really make intelligent conclusions about them, or until you've traveled around the world and gotten to know people in their natural habitat, which I've done. I've been in 175, almost 200 countries around the world. And I've studied, of course, Islam extensively, written more about Islam than anybody else. And what you need to know is that Muslims want to die for the cause. It's their only guaranteed way into the Islamic paradise, is to die as a martyr for the cause. So being a martyr, dying for Islam, being killed by a non-Muslim is the highest calling in Islam. So they have no problem with that. They're lining up for that opportunity for that. And particularly in Shia Islam, as badly as Shia Islam has been abused by Sunni Islam over the years, they're born martyrs. They have an incredible resilience to survive, and then you're dealing also with a racial arrogance here that most people don't know. That Islam was perpetrated by Arabs, and the Arabs fought a war of compulsion against all Arabs that had not capitulated to Islam immediately after Muhammad's death. It was exceedingly brutal and ruthless to force every Arab in Arabia into Islam or die. And then once they did that, they began to migrate out of Arabia at a time that Rome was disintegrating, and that Rome's battles against Persia had weakened Persia to the extent that you could blow on them and they would fall over. And so they fell into that vacuum, and they killed 200 million people, which was a third of the Earth's population at the time. And one of their targets was one of the more sophisticated cultures on Earth, the Persian culture, which grew out of all of that long-standing kind of scientific growth, but also religious, political history out of Babylon and Assyria and Sumer before it. And so the Persians are actually bright people. They have quite a history of education and of achievement, and they're very different than Arabs, who do not. I mean, the average IQ of an Arab Muslim is about 70. And the average IQ, for example, of a Jew is 115. But the Persians are different. They are much brighter. It's why when I wrote Prophet of Doom, the highest readership was in Persia and Iran. So the Persians think they are superior to the other Muslims, and the Shias have a very different view of Muhammad and their holidays and their practice of Islam than do Sunni Muslims. And so you've got a lot going on there, and I don't think most people are aware of it. And the realization that by bombing Iran, what Trump did is he unified Iran. And you look at the protests now; they are, in the range of 50 to 1,000 times greater in favor of the government than were against the government. So regime change is not in the cards. That was the stated reason. No, not going to happen.
So you don't think there's IRCG guys shaving their beards and running off to Afghanistan to flee the country? I saw a post about. No.
There is a war right now going on between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and that is that's a civil war because the Taliban are Pakistanis. I mean, the Taliban was essentially the Marines of the Pakistani military, and so when we wanted to use the Taliban to fight a proxy war against the Soviet Union when they were in Afghanistan, when they controlled them, we had to go bribe the Pakistanis to use the Taliban to go kill Ruskies. And so we've always known that the Taliban is part of Pakistan, and now they're fighting against one another. Who's going to be the Muslim that's the top of the
Muslims,
pecking order?
The others,
yeah. There are some really sane voices in this world today. This particular channel is called World Events Pulse. He is a leader on that side. It's probably the fellow I listen to the most in terms of his assessments of geopolitical politics. He has been on the fact that America is destroying itself now for a long time, and he's very scholarly in his approach. It's just tremendous. You can see he's highlighted credibility there. And so he has known what America is doing. He's been anti-Trump. He's not a liberal. He's just pro-reason. And it's been very clear that America is destroying itself around the world, that the proxy war in Ukraine is an American project gone bad, and that our malfeasance in Venezuela was exceedingly stupid and caustic around the world, that America has destroyed itself economically. We can't afford our debt. We can't fund our debt. A ticking time bomb. And now this most recent blunder of the United States deciding Trump didn't even have congressional approval, which means he's acted in a way that's unconstitutional. It's treasonous to the U.S. Constitution. What he did. He has absolutely no right to declare war, and yet he did. And Republicans have no backbone, and so he's not being impeached, but he should be. But Niedermeyer is, I think, the gentleman's name, and he's just a steady, calm, exceedingly well-educated voice. I mean, I know a lot about the background of all of these events. I wouldn't want to have to tangle with him in terms of a debate. He's so well informed. The fact is, I don't often disagree with him. I mean, he's right. He's a reasoned voice, and he's a little less shrill than Jeffrey Sachs. I don't know if you know Jeffrey Sachs. He's the Columbia professor. I think this guy's a Chicago professor. Jeffrey Sachs, unfortunately, is pretty wrapped up in the anti-Semitism that is part of Columbia University in New York. And while he was the first person, after I learned, and I started on speaking against what the United States was doing with Ukraine against Russia, back with the International Monetary Fund challenge back in the day. So this goes back almost 18 years ago when I had the nationally syndicated radio show Shattering Myths, that I began to speak about what the United States was doing and what it was going to cost us ultimately in the Ukraine and against Russia. And he chimed in about 7-8 years later. And the first time I heard him, I said, "Oh my God, there's somebody else that gets this?" I thought I was the only one. Right. And I was just mesmerized that he could articulate all the things the United States had done to set up this war, this proxy war, using Ukrainians as cannon fodder. And he was just, it's just so articulate on it and so well informed. I thought, what a great presenter this guy is. And then he went nutsoid on Israel, but they all have. They've across the board. Netanyahu has been so belligerent and so abusive so over the top in what he did in Gaza. And, you know, I won't speak of Gaza without saying, well, Gaza was a consequence of what Muslims did on October 7th, but they went way too far. But because of that now, he has also become a terrible anti-Semite. So it's hard to recommend him anymore. But he went on, he had a post yesterday that was talking about how America has become the deadliest, most disingenuous, most destructive force on the planet today. And it's completely out of control. And America's demise is forthcoming because you just can't be this rogue. And he actually didn't blame Israel this time, although if he was asked a question, I'm sure he would have gotten to it. But you know, to a large degree, it's the thing. You know, everybody knows I'm going to lay down my life for Israel. I love Israel. I support Israel, but I do not support Netanyahu, and I do not support what Israel has done in Gaza. I spoke out against it before they invaded Gaza, and I said this is going to turn the world against you. It's going to be suicidal. It'll be incredibly counterproductive. It's going to isolate you in the world so that you have no friends. And you can't survive in a world like that, particularly when you're surrounded by 2 billion Muslims that want to destroy you. And now Marxists that want to destroy you. You can't survive if you act this belligerently. And in fact, they turned the entire world. And now you can't find anyone that does social media, even the best educated, most articulate of them, that don't condemn Israel.
Yeah, even today, Israel's back to bombing in Lebanon. Let's bomb Beirut. Yes. You know, yes, oh my gosh. I get a couple rockets from Hezbollah come out, you know, because Hezbollah is tied to Iran's purse strings. But at the end of the day, it hit those rockets. I mean, they had I forget what the town's name. They dropped leaflets saying that they wanted everyone in this major town in the border to leave in the morning 1,000 meters outside of town because they were going to level the place. And I was like, wow, unbelievable.
No, it's a sure way to turn the world against you. And, you know, I have a friend here on the island we dearly love. We went out sailing. She was a charity thing where she rented an old wooden boat. It's actually a replica of a boat that sailed in the Great Lakes from the 18th century. But it was fun to go out on this boat. But when we mentioned the fact that, you know, in the first day, 100 little girls were killed in that school in the bombing. Of course, she blamed Israel as opposed to the United States actually did it. But, you know, saying, you know, what they did in Gaza, it's they have no concern for children or for life. And, you know, that is the message that Israel broadcast around the world. And even though you can say, no, you know, they were more protective of life than any other military has ever been, all you have to do is look at the pictures of Gaza, and they completely destroyed Gaza. And they're even admitting that 70,000, 75,000 Gazans were killed to avenge the deaths of 1,200 Israelis. You can't do that. That's yes, I know that the Muslims from Gaza were bad, but you never admitted that you were fighting Islam. You said you were fighting Hamas, and Hamas was a minority of those that came across that border on that day. They weren't yelling Hamas Akbar. They were yelling Allahu Akbar. They were killing for Allah. And the name of the plan was Alaska Flood. It was a purely Islamic plan, and Israel was baited into what they did. The entire purpose of that attack wasn't to occupy Israel. It wasn't to conquer Israel. It was to irritate Israel to the point that they would do this in Gaza, because they knew that they had already set up all the Marxists and their supporters around the world to scream genocide at Israel, even before Israel entered Gaza. But when they did and flattened it, they turned the world against them. They took the bait, they were played, and they lost. And they don't even know they lost. They still think there was justified in destroying Gaza. No, you weren't. And it was counterproductive. And I say that as the foremost expert on Islam and the biggest supporter in the world for Israel. And you just need to know what you did was stupid. And yet you can't get their attention.
Need some Woody.
Yeah, that was Woody Harrelson. Woody is not my favorite actor, but his friend is my favorite actor. And not that this is a news event, but he was introducing. I think the actor Harrison Ford's his name, but Harrison Ford won the Lifetime Achievement Award for actors in Hollywood. Would just act all-time or Lifetime Achievement Award in Hollywood among those who make movies. And Harrison Ford is one of my favorites because as a person, he's pretty real. I mean, we share a love of aviation, but what I liked about him is he played the character that I happen to like the best. Indiana Jones and also Han Solo are what's called lovable rogues. A lovable rogue is a guy that has lots of flaws, and he learned from his mistakes. But in the end, he comes through, and he sees it through in the end, even though he gives up along the way and trips over his own tongue and his own feet. He's a Dodian character, like King Dode and Israel. He is, I would consider myself to be somewhat of a lovable rogue, at least for those people who love the cause that I fight for. We're a little rough around the edges, but we're genuine. We ultimately get the job done. I love that kind of character. That was Indiana Jones. That character. It was love. It was the character of Han Solo in the Star Wars series, and he played it in many other movies. He just brought that character to life, and I think it's a worthy character for us to know. We don't have to be perfect to make a difference. We have to be genuine. We have to have character. We have to stand up when it counts. We have to learn from our mistakes. That was the Harrison Ford character that almost no matter what movie he did, that was the character he played.
And as a person, he's been really good about protecting his brand as well. Him and Kevin Costner are two that you really have a tough time finding something bad to say about them as people. They stay out of politics. They stay out of, you don't really know a lot about them. And so they maintain that likability, throughout all of their characters. Where some actors will just, De Niro will just go right off the rails.
Yeah, it'd be true up to a point. Now when we hear Harrison Ford has come out very strongly against Trump. He says, this is man that scares me to death. He is exceedingly dangerous. He is absolutely out of control. And he's right. And he gave a lovely speech about this. And, I just thought, hats off to a life well lived with Harrison Ford. You brought us marvelous entertainment and sometimes art and a way to laugh at ourselves and enjoy ourselves and to see us in the even flawed in the most noble possible light. So maybe I'm making too big a deal out of it, but that's kind of how I see him and the characters he played through the movies he was in.
I'm with you.
Oh yeah, this professor was trying to demystify Iran, and he was speaking of literacy. So he wanted to say, the new regime is better than the old regime with the Shah. And I know they're not better than the old regime with the Shah. But he was saying to say that, here's an example. Literacy in Iran prior to the Ayatollah returning under the Shah, he claims was in the mid 30s, maybe high 30%. I don't know if that's true or not. My guess is not. It was slightly better than that because I think that Iran at the time was probably the most liberal of the Islamic countries in the region. And that you look at prosperity and the Persian culture, and that literacy was probably twice what he claimed. But he claims it was in the high 30s and that now it's in the 90s. And I wouldn't have any quarrel with the fact that literacy is in the 90s in Iran. But, that was his justification that say, okay, we're not so bad. But my point was, then you brought the rebellion upon yourself because you cannot be an informed Muslim. If you are literate as a Muslim and you read that Quran, you will realize it's the worst book ever written. It is grossly immoral. It's grossly repetitive. It's grossly inaccurate. It is horribly plagiarized. It's the worst book ever written by any standard. Plagiarism, morality, historical insights and accuracy. It's a jumbled mess. It doesn't have chronology, and it's not even presented in context. There is no order to it. It is the product of an entirely chaotic mind, and the principal themes are death, torture, deprivation of rights. It's a horrible book, and so you're going to teach Muslims to read. You better, if you're a Muslim, you better be careful, because a thoughtful Muslim is a non-Muslim.
Muslim, yeah. Yeah, communism does a really good job of making a literate society. And what was the joke? Castro's really good at making doctors, but no one's going to Cuba for their health services. Yes. So communism will create good doctors, but nobody's going to communist countries to get their health services done.
Well, create lots of doctors, but not good doctors. Yeah. This is the same. This happens to be the speech that he gave. He was really articulate in that speech. It was very heartwarming. But same subject with Harrison Ford. It's just an individual that I have admired for his prior work. This is something that is perplexing to me. This particular influencer is saying that World War III update, prepare for the worst, Iran, that Russia and China are mobilizing. We heard a lot about that even before the war, that China and Russia were more into supporting Iran than they had been before, and that they were giving them air defense weapons and missile technology and a number of other things to make it more costly for America to intervene. And then they were sending an aircraft carrier there and ballistic submarines and the like. And it's just fascinating to me, because China gets 40% of its oil worldwide from Iran, and on very favorable prices. And Russia has trading, a significant amount of trade through Iran because of all the sanctions that have been put on them. And so Iran is really of essential, vital interest to both Russia and to China. It's to say that the Iranian relationship to Russia and China is far more important than Canada or Mexico are to the United States. Now, Can you imagine America's reaction if China and Russia decided to bomb Canada and do a decapitation strike and declare war on Canada or on Mexico? Well, that's the situation with China and Russia with Iran. In fact, it's far worse, because they are far more dependent upon Iran than the United States is on Mexico or on China. In fact, it may be Mexico and China combined would be near what the situation is with China and Russia vis-a-vis Iran. And having just a mess made of Venezuela, where China was heavily invested, was their largest customer on oil, and they had good relationships with Russia. And to have that go down so that America's intervention was blitzkrieg, kidnap the government, leave, and accomplish nothing, by the way. I mean, the existing government is the same government that was there before. America didn't do a thing in Venezuela except kidnap their leader. But nonetheless, to have that disrupted, and then to allow the United States to bang up and destroy Iran and not do anything is catastrophic for both those two countries. I mean, literally catastrophic. it puts both on an incredibly difficult footing because it shows with all of their other allies and trading partners that Russia and China aren't going to stand up for you. They will make no difference for you. They are not reliable friends. And it says that they'll be willing to take huge losses because they're essentially have no backbone and they're cowards on defending things that matter to them. So you're wondering what in the world's going on here. I don't know.
Think that there as long as there's not a regime change, as long as there's not some sort of major change in Iran where it can be business as usual, hey, we can still get our oil from them. The second that because we know that the United States and Israel cannot put boots on the ground in Iran. And so at the end of the day, nothing is going to change for China or Russia as far as their strategic interest of oil and stuff, as long as Iran continues to have control over their population through this regime, or even the next regime that will prop up.
Yeah, the next regime isn't going to be the former Shah. Is the Shah's son. He's not coming back in. They're not going to a monarchy. It's not going to be a "we love Israel, we love America" regime in Iran. It's just not going to happen. And if anything, the U.S. has galvanized the Iranians to be anti-U.S. and anti-Israel. But so I would agree that they could set it out in the sense of their business partner will still be there to do business with them and will need them all the more after being bombed. If the bombing is going to be as they are forecasting it, that the United States has a week or two at most that they can play and then they have to run away, and that Israel cannot prevail by itself and will have to sue for peace, and that gives them the opportunity for even more control. And so if they're saying, well, it's going to play out over a short period of time, it did the last time in 12 days, except this time Israel and the United States aren't going to get the favorable outcome that they got the last time, although it wasn't favorable for either Israel or the United States. It was just, thank God that's over. But this time it's not going to be that. So maybe that's it, that they just say that all that happens is the United States weakens itself and the like, but it's a bad taste. The air defense systems that they sent did not work. Whatever they gave Iran failed. And their rhetoric of this is going to be terrible consequences if you do this, they didn't do a thing. So it sends a message that Russia and China are not good partners in this regard. It weakens BRICS from that point of view. Devastating for America, and so maybe they just say it's bad for us, but it's worse for America. It's the only thing that you can think of here as to what the issues are. But we're only 2 days now into something that I can't imagine is going to only last, like the last time was 12 days. I can't see this one only being 12 days, and I can't see the United States. The last time the United States played for one night, and now the U.S. has played for 2 days. I don't think the U.S. has got the wherewithal to go too much further, but
the U.S. pundits are saying this is going to be a 4 to 6 week operation.
But the United States doesn't have the wherewithal to continue it for 4 to 6 weeks.
That's just in theater.
Right. That's the theater, but that's what the majority of people hear.
What's at the end of that?
That's in theater.
What then do you have? You have a broken and deadly Iran, and you're not occupying them. You don't have regime change. If you got regime change, it would be worse. What happened in Libya? We went from bad to worse. What happened in Iraq? We went from bad to worse. What happened in Syria? We went from bad to worse. What happened in Ukraine?
They are rioting in Iraq right now.
Yes,
they are rioting in Iraq right now. Yeah.
Yes, they are. It went from every one of those countries. It went from bad to worse. That was how we handled regime change. We do it really poorly. If it happens here, to go from bad to worse. That is the history. That's what you're going to witness. You don't see it. But then, we also know that we're 80 days from the time of trouble. Next 7 years is going to be horrific for Israel. But I had a post on X this morning. I cited the prophet Yoel and Isaiah talking about the time that of Israel trouble begins on Shavuot, this Shavuot, 22 of May of 2026, and runs through Teruah, the 24th of September, 2033. And that 2 out of every 3 Jews are going to die according to the prophets in this time. And so you got to know that you need to be really careful, Israel, when you do something like this because of where you are on the time and what the prophets have said. X shut down my account on that. That I was promoting hate and that sort of thing. And I was reporting what the prophet said. And he said, we have it wrong. You can defend it. And I said, nah, just.
No. Well, to be fair, I don't know that the prophets were necessarily hateful, but what they said in their own time would have been considered hate speech for sure. Because they were always anti-establishment, my people.
But they were more anti-Jewish than they were anybody else. They hated Jewish religion and Jewish politics.
Right.
They were mostly anti-Jewish.
Yes, they were. For writing inside Israel,
Yeah, they were anti-Jewish.
Truth is unwanted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It says that humans crave honesty until it goes against their perceptions. And no, I don't think that's true. Actually, I actually am convinced that it's the opposite. I think humans want to be lied to. They feel comfortable being lied to.
That's
religion.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Religion is nothing but a lie. I mean, there was no Jesus. Hashem doesn't exist. Allah's not a god. Those 3 religions are nothing but a lie. The basis of MAGA is a complete lie. The basis of socialism is a complete lie. No, people want to be lied to. They're comfortable being lied to. They don't. The truth is frightening to them. It's scary to them. It's outside of their framework. Truth is so exceedingly unpopular that you can't say that people crave honesty. No, they've never craved honesty, ever. So
the social construct of civility is built upon a lie. I mean, everyone wants you, as long as the lie is acceptable to the social structure of whatever it is, then we're all maintaining that. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I'm in a program that practices rigorous honesty, and I can tell you that alcoholics are not the most honest people in the world with themselves or with other people. So
absolutely. Yeah, I posted as a great example here. There was a congresswoman that was eulogizing the 5 servicemen that have died in this war. And they said, first of all, they're heroes. And I said, no, they're not heroes. There is nothing heroic about them. And they weren't actually fighting themselves. They weren't defending anyone. No, they're not heroes. Don't label them what they are not. They're dead, but they're not heroes. Second was that they were fighting to defend America. No, they weren't. Iran wasn't attacking America. They weren't defending America. They were defending Donald Trump, perhaps from the Epstein files, but they sure as hell weren't defending America. Don't lie to people. And then it says that God bless them. No, leave God out of your political and religious delusions. He is anti-religious. He is anti-political, and he's opposed to your wars. So no, there's no God involved in this. There's no heroes here. There's no defending America here. What we have is 5 people that are dead because Trump's a jerk.
But it makes us feel comfortable and cozy that we can all say the nice words and then move on with our lives.
How dare you say that you want to give comfort to their families and they gave their great sacrifice to your country? No, they didn't. They volunteered to be in the military. What a stupid decision. I mean, utterly stupid decision. And they were based someplace in a hellhole in the Islamic world, thinking they were defending America in an Islamic country. No, they're defending that Islamic country and defending the wealthy that make money on trading oil.
Always follow the money.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they're doing.
Those things. those things work on a recruiting poster, and then after a serviceman is in the service for any amount of time, they come out of that realizing, man, I know it was in the GI Bill, whatever I VA benefits, whatever crap I can get out of it, and then gone, because they know they're not. Yeah, they know they're not serving any sort of American ideology anywhere they go. Yeah,
a lot of them will try to fool themselves so they don't feel like their lives were so worthless. They want to paint themselves as heroes in my service to my country and all this. It's just total nonsense. It's there is nobody in the military that has defended American freedom ever, not ever. It has never occurred. They have fought for a lot of things, but defending freedom of America is not one of them ever. So it's all a lie we tell ourselves to feel good about ourselves and the sacrifice of so many people, but it just isn't true. It's when one of the great lies is the lie of patriotic service in one's military and defending freedom. When it's the least free institution in any country, you join the military, you have no freedom. They completely and totally control you, and the people that control you use you.
Yeah, and they're paid. I mean, what happens when someone is paid to go kill someone else? What's the term for that?
Mercenary.
Yeah.
Or assassin. Oh, join the Navy now. You can be a pirate. You can be a kidnapper.
Absolutely.
Go Navy.
Just the plumbing doesn't work.
Yeah. Leia has I guess an addition to her dote they won. It's David. It's where YAHOWAH wrote the lyrics in the 89th Mizmor, and she set them to music. It's actually a beautiful tune.
You wanna play this? I can switch it over and we can listen to it.
Sure.
Give me just a second here. Oh, worded. There we go.
No, do I have no audio?
Got audio now?
Yeah.
Family home through my chosen one, the person I Shema Yisrael, YAHOWAH is our Elohim, and he sings. I have a
Lost the audio.
No, we lost audio again. All right. Well, hopefully you have my mic is working. We lost audio again, so let's not try it again. One of the nice things about the music, go ahead and stop it, Kevin, if you could. Kevin, I don't think he can hear us. But the problem here is that the audio worked just briefly, and then the moment you slid away, the audio went away. Fortunately, on all of these music videos, if you go to YAHOWAH.com and you click on the header music, it doesn't have all of the most recent ones. She has written so many here in the last few weeks, but there are many. Yeah. We have a terrible echo now. So you can go to YAHOWAH.com and you can play any one of these music videos. But certainly encourage people to do so. And you can go to any one of the YouTube channels as well, and also listen to them. And this just happens to be a good one. We're nearing a couple of hours there. Kevin will go to another. It doesn't have to be this one. Did you ever see the movie Trading Places?
Oh yeah.
Dan Aykroyd and who is the
Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy. Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. It's about two commodity traders that have a bet that they could pull somebody off the street that could do the job of commodity trading, and they get Eddie Murphy, and he is put against Dan Aykroyd, and ultimately they are in on the scheme, and they turn the scheme so that they end up making a fortune. And it makes a fool of the old curmudgeon and racist commodity traders. I think it's one of the funny movies ever, and it has a scene feeling good. It's on the beach, and you've got one of the two characters on the beach, the other one's on a sailboat, and you see that beach right there. That's Carambola Beach. That is the beach where that was the final scene in Trading Places was filmed. Feeling good, Billy Ray, looking good, Elliot. That is where it was filmed. It happens to be a beautiful location. It used to be a rock resort. Rockefeller gave it up a long time ago, and it's gone through a number of owners and a number of fraudulent transactions along the way. But there is rumor now that a major hotel is in the picture and wants to buy it and restore it. And if they do, would be a really treasured.
Book through Marriott now.
Oh yeah, it'd be a real treasured experience if it is upgraded to what it was a long time ago. I don't know if you ever stayed in one of the rock resorts. I've been to most all of them. Mauna Kea was my first. I loved Mauna Kea. Very simplistic in its view, austere, but it had an elegance all its own because of that. And then there was Little Dick's on Virgin Gorda, which is still gorgeous. Then Keneal Bay was on St. John. It got destroyed in the last hurricane, but I've been there a number of times. I thought the rock resorts, because they are austere. It's very simple living, but in elegant situations, and it would be nice to have that one back.
I'll come visit in 7 years. The place will be nice.
The place will be nice. I would encourage you to do so. I've taken Rich there now a couple of times, where there's a restaurant called Ama that's just up from there. It's one of our favorite restaurants on the island. And when we're there, we often drive to the resort and take a walk down there on the beach and check it out, because it's just such a lovely, lovely place. This can be our last post. The Pentagon reported to Congress that there was no sign that Iran was going to attack the U.S. first. What that means is that Trump should be impeached. The U.S. Constitution is quite clear. He does not have the authority to declare war. He does not have the authority to invade or bomb another country. He only can respond immediately if an attack is imminent or has taken place. And even when George Bush, who I knew quite well personally, didn't like him very much, but knew him quite well, wanted to invade Afghanistan and then Iraq, he went to Congress, got congressional approval for doing the stupid thing of making a bad situation worse. And here Trump didn't even bother. He knows what the Constitution says, that he does not have the right to do that. And yet he did it anyway. But the very fact that the Pentagon has confirmed, there was no credible threat that Iran was going to attack the United States. They have no even means to do so. No, you can't do what he did. It's unconstitutional. He is not a dictator. The United States has a constitution. You have to act within that constitution. It's what threw Elon Musk away with his Doge experiment. He wanted to cut government spending through the executive office, but the executive office doesn't have authorization to do so. That spending is controlled by Congress, and he didn't work with Congress. And authorization for war has to come through Congress. He didn't go there. And as such, what he did was unconstitutional, and there has to be a consequence for those things. Well, I don't think
so much for the generals that, not to follow unconstitutional orders or anything like that. We're just following orders, boss. That's getting paid on the way. That's
getting paid. When he had that meeting with the generals where he said, you can go along with me and keep your job or not, and I will fire you. And he said, we're going to use you in America's streets. I'm going to deploy you against enemies in America, which he defined as Democrats. And here's an unconstitutional war, and they went at it. What I said at the time when that meeting took place, I said, I'd be surprised if 10% of them resigned. There was 800 there. That would have been 80 of them. There were 4. Four. Half of 1%.
Not good.
4. And what I said, that the reason I thought so few would resign is that being a general is really a cushy life. I mean, you get a butler, you get a driver, a chauffeur, you get, you fly around in G5s. You have luxury housing provided by the government. You've got all manner of staff that support your every need. You get paid a lot. And if you get up in the rank of past brigadier general, and particularly if you become a 4-star, the retirement package not only is a big retirement package from the military, but they're paid millions to lobby on behalf of companies that make weapons to get defense appropriations. It's a big gravy train. And so they don't want to give up the
Raytheon, Boeing.
Yeah. They don't want to give up the gravy train. That's exactly right. Because Americans have this misguided notion you should respect somebody who's worn the uniform, particularly if they moved up through the ranks, and they turn it into a gravy train. And they didn't want to, personal selfishness was more important to them than the Constitution. There's only 4 of them that resigned as a matter of character and conscience.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. And the most important thing I wanted to convey is that, Israel, dearly love Israel. Will lay down my life for Israel. I have received thousands and thousands of death threats for having exposed Islam as the greatest force against Israel. And all of that, that roaring lion there, that's actually symbolic of a character that's predicted in prophecy that takes down Rahab, who is Donald Trump, on behalf of Israel. So I'm all in for Israel. I've written 35 books. I've dedicated the last 25 years of my life to supporting Israel. And yet, just like YAHOWAH, I'm also very critical of Israel. And I'm critical because Israel has been belligerent towards God for a very long time and has trusted their rabbis for the past 2,000 years. And the rabbis have done nothing but feast upon the Jewish wallet. And they are exceedingly counterproductive. They created Christianity, they created Islam, they manufactured Israel's external enemies, and they have manufactured Israel's most vicious internal enemy, the religion of Judaism itself, equating Judaism with being a Jew. It's devastating. And then you have Jews being the most aggressive Marxists and socialists in the world. And in Israel, it's a house divided with 20% on either side of that coin, and it's not sustainable. And when you see these two opposing forces, both of which are completely wrong, and then you have this leader in the middle of it that is so afraid that he's going to be convicted of all manner of fraud, Netanyahu, who is put Israel in an impossible position. I mean, his response to his own negligence on October 7th was to destroy Gaza in a never-ending war, and it's still not over. And he's isolated Israel from the world based upon the destruction of Gaza. It was foolish. October 11th should never have happened. There was no reason, with everything that was known about what was going to happen, for that to have even occurred. And once it did, it should have been nipped in the bud in 30 minutes, not 12 hours later. No one should have been hauled back to Gaza. It should have been impossible. That second wave should not have been able to enter. The third wave should not have been able to enter. The majority of the combatants should not have been walking in tinny rompers. It just should not have occurred. And then for the leader of the country that allowed it to occur to still be there and devastated, destroyed Gaza, turning the world against Israel, putting Israel in a position where it only has one ally, and that ally is Rahab, the satanically inspired great betrayer of Israel. And he had a speech today where he's saying, we're going to hit Iran like they've never been hit before. It's going to be the most amazing bombing, the greatest bombing ever before. He was sounding like a baby Trump. Mm-hmm. And he is now, a vassal of the U.S., and yet he's portrayed as making Trump his bitch. The world wants to say that he owns Trump. Right. And yet he is a vassal of Trump. Mm-hmm. It's so repulsive what he has done, and how he keeps his position of power because of the blood-sucking parasitic rabbis. I'm just repulsed. And then to realize that the majority of Israelis wanted this war that has a 0% chance of success. And it's going to be so destructive to them and destroy what little credibility they had left in the world.
It's
just to lay it on the line. You are 80 days from the time of Israel's troubles, and the prophets are quite clear. It's going to be the worst time in the history of the Jewish people, and it's going to last 7 years, and it won't be over until Teruah of 2033. And that the rabbinic calendar of Maimonides and his sanctification of the moon theory and his love for the Islamic number 19 is insane. You're 197 years off. And you're valuing the rabbis who are actually separating you from God and irritating God in the process, and you don't even know or use Yahweh's name. You're looking for a coming Messiah to save you, and you don't know that your Messiah has been here twice before and he is returning as your king. You don't know his name. You don't know the date that he's returning. Now, I figured it out. Why can't you? Mm-hmm. It's sad. I don't know if we're going to ever wake up Israel. Again, we'll get another chance as one of the two witnesses with one of the great orators of all time, and Elia. But between now and then, I don't see Jews listening. And the reason is that God has said, you are so stubborn. You're so antagonistic to me. You're so self-reliant. You're so prone to your religion and your politics and your military that you think you can save yourselves. Well, it's going to take them being put in a position where they know they have no friend in the world, that their IDF can't save them. Their politicians cannot save them. Their rabbis are destructive to them. And that there is no one outside of Israel they can look to, and no one inside of Israel they can trust. And only then is the last option. Well, yeah, we'll be appealing to them. Sad. God deserves better than that.
I understand rock bottoms, so I know that's exactly what Israel will have to come off of, each one of them individually, before they can say their God's name, Yahweh, and then start their way back. So happy to be here to be a part of that, and hope that we have a larger audience and outcome than I expect. I want to be wrong about this. I want to be in the tens of thousands. Because that number is feasible. That number is feasible. Well, I want to be wrong.
Yeah, I think that for the Shavua harvest, you're absolutely wrong. It's not going to happen. But which means I think you're right, because that's what you think is true. Yes. I think for your Shavua harvest, I think you're absolutely right. You're not going to be proven wrong. For the Teruah gleaning, we'll see. It's going to be a very different set of circumstances. Speaking from the Temple Mount and not needing any social media, because our message will be beamed to everybody around the world, and we'll have supernatural support. So it's a different circumstance. And when God brings the remnant that are dispersed around the world into Jerusalem for the express purpose of having them benefit from the sacrifice of the Adam of Parah on Teruah in 2033, that's his doing. And it's every Jew in the world can qualify, so long as they're not overtly religious or tragically political or conspiratorial or anti-Semitic or any of those kinds of things. If they're workable, they'll be given a chance. And I think that could be in the tens of thousands. Absolutely. Could be in the tens of thousands. However, the more I'm exposed to people, the more I'm exposed to YAHOWAH, the more I've come to recognize that YAHOWAH doesn't want a crowd. That idea, I hope there'd be tens of thousands, is alien to his mindset. As we have learned about God's ability to keep his people in plan, on pace throughout the millennia, and how he just ultimately says, I found this guy, I like him, I can work with him. I found this other guy over here, I like him, I can work with him. And then this guy over here, and there's a woman here, I like her too. It's really a small group of people. And then ultimately I'm going to surround them with a team and a family that can get things done. But, that's a score of people, maybe a little more. It's pretty obvious to me that God's not planning for a big family. He's quite content with a small number of wonderful people. And if you're going to be among those that he's going to trust to empower beyond being a physical person stuck in a physical body, and you're going to be empowered past the fourth, fifth, and sixth and into the seventh dimension and all of the responsibility and opportunity that goes with that, then you need to know that God's going to have to trust you with that. And for him to trust you, you're going to have to get to know who he is. You have to show him that you're observant. You're paying attention to what's going on. And 99.9999999% of the world is not. You have to show him that you're willing to pay attention to his conditions for his covenant, which means you can't be religious or political. And 99% of the world is either political or religious. You can't be either of those. You can't be conspiratorial. If you have any affinity for any one of those three things, no, you're not acceptable. Then you have to show that you're responsive. It's not enough just to not be associated with religion and politics or conspiracy. You have to show that you can respond, and you will respond to God in an intelligent way based upon what he's offering and what he's communicated, such that you're making a contribution to his family and to the world and others around you. If you're not engaged working for him, you're not wanted. Mm-hmm. And then you have to prove that you're reliable, that you're dependable, that you're like remember when I said I like the character that Harrison Ford plays with Indiana Jones and Han Solo and the others, where he is the lovable rogue that everything is wrong. He had one where he's a pilot, kind of a seaplane pilot in the South Pacific, and the plane crashes. Yes. Yeah, one of the really cute
with
movies.
Anne Hesh.
Yeah, he's a lovable rogue in that one. The guy that just does everything wrong, but in the end he finds character and backbone and becomes a major contributor. That's what God's looking for. He doesn't want perfection. He's looking for somebody that makes mistakes and learns from them. Somebody who trips and falls and gets up and shows they can get going again. Somebody that's Indiana Jones didn't give up on his ark. He didn't know where to look for it. It happens to be in Jerusalem even now. But it's still that the story is sound. Look at the way that the character in Star Wars is played. He was just a rogue, but then became a lovable rogue because he developed a spine. He showed character. He was willing to put it all on the line for what was right. That's what God's looking for, not to fight for Star Wars or to look for the Ark of the Covenant, but that kind of personality attracts him. That's the personality of Dode. Dode made a lot of mistakes. He fell, and he finally learned from them. Now he needed an intervention to come along to that point, but so do many of us need a little help when we get down, and we need somebody to help point us in the right direction again. And we did that for Dode, and the result is that he did finish the job. That's what God's looking for. And there's just not enough Jews at this point to say that there's going to be a crowd. They're too afraid to say Yahweh's name. They're way too prone to support their IDF or their favorite politician or their rabbi. And that's all got to go by the wayside. And it's not just enough to get rid of the wrong. You have to then learn what's right and embrace it and act upon it and then show themselves worthy. During the return to Sukkah, the 1,000 years of nurturing in the garden, when God brings us back to the conditions of the garden, that's enough time to teach, model character, the value of learning, the skill set of making intelligent decisions, knowing how to be observant, how to be thoughtful. I got a lovely letter from Mariah, one of our favorite, talking about how she appreciated this whole lesson on how to think, how to evaluate evidence and to deduce intelligent conclusions and to keep learning and all of that. We're going to have 1,000 years to model that. And so I think that God can create as many people that will be part of his covenant family going forward as he wants in that 1,000 years with us serving as effective mentors. But between now and then, going to be sparse. How popular was God during the Exodus? How many of those original characters made it into the promised land?
Two.
It started with 600,000. It was 2, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, God's not ever been popular, even among his own people, even in their presence. Why would you think that'd be different now?
Right.
Having learned all the ways that God causes what he wants to happen, stay on pace while not infringing on free will and not imposing himself overtly in the process, I've just become a lot more relaxed about the whole thing. We'll stick with the job. We'll do what we can to prepare people that are willing to listen and help those who are already part of the covenant family grow in their responsibility. But we're not going to lose sleep over it. We're going to do the job the best we can and know that we have been in this position before and we came through. We delivered what was possible to deliver. And there was a period of time where that God spoke directly to the children of Israel and they told him to go away, to shut up, and they never wanted to see him again. Now he's considerably brighter than you and me and more articulate, right? More imposing, has a much better resume than you and I do. And yet his own people in his presence told him to shut up and go away. They never wanted to hear from him or see him again. Why would you expect that we're going to have a better result than that?
Sure. Absolutely. I don't think we could. I don't think we're going to. Yeah. I see this as the third quarter. We're going to finish this third quarter strong and then come back for a grand finale of fourth quarter where everything works out, so.
Yeah, we're third quarter in the sense that we are nearing the fourth of 7 Moed Mikre, and then Teruah, the last 3.5 years of the time of Israel's troubles, where we create a sanctuary around Jerusalem, where we calm the situation as much as is possible around Jerusalem, where everything else is chaotic, is that fourth quarter push. So we will have that, but it's only 3.5 years. It's not 15% of the game, it's not, or I guess not 25% of the game. It's the last 3.5 years of what has been 6,000 years outside of the garden. So that's a tiny.
You could call it the 2-minute drill if you want to, but yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's the end of it, right?
It's the 1 second. It's the last shot in the final 1 second of that amount of 3.5 years of 6,000. You're on the last second. You looked up at the scoreboard. You've got one last shot. And it'll be a swish. We'll make the shot. Mm-hmm. We will prevail, and the earth will be restored. And it's not of our own. By that point, God's pretty active, and orchestrating these events. And He's already written the plan. We've shared the plan. We know exactly what's going to happen. We've told people what's going to happen. If you want to read about it, you can go to Time of Trouble, Volume 9 of the YAHOWAH series from YAHOWAH.com is what I would encourage you to do. And there it is. That's Sirah, Time of Trouble. And read it, and you'll know what we know about what's going to happen. Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you, Rich, for bringing us all together and chiming in. We'll try to do another program maybe late today. We'll see how that all works out for us. But thank you for being willing to do this, Kevin. I know this is not the easiest program, but I
just got to sit here and scroll.
Well, and comment and deal with me, and that's sometimes a handful. Yeah, I'm not sure that I've earned the lovable part of the rogue yet, but we're working on it.
We're all works in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch y'all on our next podcast.